Okay. Welcome to the Planning Commission meeting for the City of Pacifica for August 6th, 2018. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Stedjink?
Present.
Commissioner Gordon?
Here.
Commissioner Niblin?
Here.
Kraske?
Present.
And Chair Campbell?
Here.
And Commissioner Rubenstein and Vice Chair Clifford are absent.
Okay, thank you. For the salute to the flag, Commissioner Steding.
I pledge the allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Steding. All right. Administrative business, approval of the order of agenda. Okay, we've had a motion.
I'll move approval of the order of the agenda.
Okay, do we have a second? Commissioner Gordon?
I'll second.
We had a motion, second, please vote. On to the approval of the minutes for our July 16th, 2018 meeting. Anyone care to make a motion there? Commissioner Gordon?
I'll move to approve.
Move to second.
Okay, Commissioner Kraske? And we've got a motion, second, please vote. Commissioner Kraske, is your light, can you press that one more time?
It's showing.
Yeah, Sean.
Okay, it's not showing up here,
There.
so.
It's just holler when you want to talk.
Motion yeah,
Voting,
the light's not showing
your
up.
light's not showing up.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Problem solved.
The light. Okay, thank you. Okay, designation of liaison to city council meeting.
None needed.
Okay, on to oral communications. This portion of the agenda is available to the public to address the Planning Commission on any issue within the subject matter jurisdiction of the commission that is not on the agenda. The time allowed for any speaker would be 3 minutes. If anyone wishes to speak, please fill out a card in the back of the room and bring it up. But I don't think that's going to happen. So I don't see any cards coming up. I'm going to move on to consent items. First consent item is a report on planning administrator use permit determination for professional office use at 195 Carmel Avenue. Staff report, please.
And we do not have to have a staff report. It's on consent unless the commission so desires, or if a commissioner would like, or any two commissioners would like to pull this and request that a use permit be filed by the applicant.
Okay, let's see. Commissioner Neblin.
Well, I'd like to move approval of the consent agenda.
We've had a motion. Do we have a second? Commissioner Gordon.
I'll second.
We've had a motion, second. Please vote. All right, that passes unanimously among the commissioners present. Congratulations.
Bye.
All right, onwards to consideration item, the Planning Department mid-year update. Staff report, please.
So the purpose of this item is to go over the numerous work plan items that the City Council has assigned to the Planning Commission, or to the Planning Department, many of which will be coming before the Planning Commission, if not all of them, so that you have some idea of what kind of we're doing in the background while we're processing development applications. And just to make sure that you guys are aware of kind of all the goings on with the Planning Department. So I provided a little bit more detail in the staff report in terms of these projects' description, where they are in the process currently, and where the timeline we expect over the next year or so, or longer for some. So I'll just quickly run through these. It's not meant to be kind of just talking at you guys. If you have a question, feel free to stop me, and we can answer your questions about each of those projects. It's probably the better way to do it. So I'll go ahead and jump right in. So The first project is to complete the sea level rise adaptation planning and local coastal plan update. And we have just released a draft adaptation plan, which is kind of the technical document that's going to inform the land use policies in the local coastal plan update. And the Planning Commission will be seeing this in November, and then making a recommendation to City Council before the end of the year, or City Council will hear this before the end of the year. And as you are aware, we started a general plan and LCP update many years ago. And the LCP consists of several chapters, not just sea level rise adaptation planning. And there's been changes on the Planning Commission, changes on the City Council, and I think the community has changed, and so we all kind of need to get reoriented to the entire document, not just adaptation planning. So we're going to take the process through adaptation planning through the end of the year, and then in 2019, we're going to pick back up with all of the other chapters, as well as the general plan, re-engaging the community on the general plan, and then hopefully, it won't take all of 2019, but hopefully in 2019 we can have some resolution on both of those documents and have updated policy documents for the community. I don't think it would have been realistic to kind of just jump everybody right back into the entire general plan when we got through this part, the sea level rise adaptation planning. So this weekend, we're going to have a community meeting on the draft adaptation plan at the community center from 12 to 3, if anybody's interested. So next, continuing project to continue our efforts towards planning and constructing new library facilities. As you may recall, the last bond measure was not successful. A big part of that was likely closing Sanchez, not having a second library at Sanchez. It wasn't the only issue, but I think that was a big part of it. And so the City Council has directed staff to study keeping Sanchez open in some manner, as well as building a new library at the current Sharp Park site. So we are in the process of doing that. We're working with San Mateo County Library to figure out how we can do that with the current resources that we have. So we're not going to get any more from the library system. We have some innovative things we're considering. We're going to present to the Library Advisory Committee this Wednesday and to see and begin to introduce to the community some innovative operating models for Sanchez. And we'll see how that's received and possibly be able to present that to the City Council in probably October. The fifth item is something that we've had on the work plan for a little while. It's established a priority development area for West and East Sharp Park. PDAs are a tool that MTC and ABAG use to direct priority funding towards areas that are kind of smart growth. They are associated with putting more density where there's transportation, and there's varying sizes. So it could be a very dense BART station, or it could be a less dense, frequent bus route in a smaller community, maybe similar to Pacifica. So the regional agencies have not opened a application period yet, so we're watching that. And when they do, the council's direction is to submit an application for the city of Pacifica.
I got a question. And so what are the benefits of so a PDA gets approved?
Right. The regional agencies use PDAs to help them in prioritizing where they direct funding. So a PDA is beneficial because we could get some money for the specific plan for the area that I'm going to talk about next. There's also implementation funding available as well. So you may have some transportation improvement funding available when you get to that phase.
So the funding typically is related to transportation.
Connecting transportation with density, so trying to get people off the roads or out of their cars, I should say.
I called the county on the PDA program. I guess in 2015, the county gave away $40 million on that, and Pacifica was one of, I think, 3 cities that didn't even apply there. They have like 17 to 18 programs that were approved specifically after modification, so we may want to take a look at those and see exactly what specific vein of transportation nodes they're funding
Okay.
on there. Thank you.
The next item is preparing a Palmetto District-specific plan. While we were waiting for a PDA application period to open, we're kind of missing the boat on making sure we get the kind of development that the city wants in the Palmetto area. And so the council has directed us to go ahead, and while we still want to apply for and take advantage of PDA opportunities, we need to go forward with a specific plan. We're getting a lot more interest in development of Palmetto, and so we want to make sure that the community's vision for that is going to be implemented, and it's not going to be kind of one-off and happenstance. So we are going to move forward with a specific plan kicking off this year. The next is housing issues. So we're going to continue to implement the housing element and explore ways that the city can support affordable housing initiatives. Part of this, we've had some questions about bringing back the ADU ordinance because there are some minor updates that are needed after the housing bills were passed in later 2017. So we're hopefully going to do that in the front end of 2019. And we do have some housing in lieu funds that are not substantial. They're around $300,000, and it's in my staff report. But I think it's worth exploring partnerships with our housing partners throughout the county, and just to see if there's any programs that we can move forward with that we can spend that money on, so that are qualified programs.
I don't know if you've got the answer off the top of your head, probably not, but in response to the passage of the ADU ordinance, have we seen, how many applications have been received and approved? Do we know?
So I don't have the number off the top of my head, but I can tell you that I hear at our front counter people asking about putting in ADUs daily. So there is definitely, the knowledge is spreading in the community, probably all communities, and there's definitely a lot of interest.
Okay, but in terms of like, construction actually happening, still not that much.
I can get you some numbers.
Thanks.
Have we ever done any kind of outreach to the community on that ADU legislation?
Not very proactively, no.
Like not an article in the newspaper or a public meeting or anything?
No, we haven't.
Okay.
The city, next item, the city did have a rent advisory task force, and the task force job was to create or recommend a advisory measure for landlords on how often they raise rents and other things associated with their tenants. And that was halted while the rent control issue went to ballot. And so now that that is over with, the city council put on our work plan to bring this item back just to see what they would like to do, or if they'd like to try to reconvene a task force, or if they'd like to drop this from the work plan altogether. And I left the number 9, recreational vehicles. That's actually not ours. It's the police department's item. And the quarry site, we are going to start a specific plan process for the quarry site. So that developer also had a failed ballot initiative in 2016. And The desire is to have more of a ground-up planning process and to hear from the community what the community would like to see on the site. And so instead of them coming in with an application, they have said that they would like the city to start a specific plan process where we are running the specific plan and go through the community outreach process and see what comes out of that.
A charrette.
Yes.
I'm aware that there's been, I believe, 4 or 5 different community-based approaches to development in the quarry since '68 or whatever, back to, and there was one from 1973, I think Nick Gus did, where it involved putting quite an elaborate marina in the quarry on there. Now, I'm sure Coastal Commission wouldn't allow us to do that, but we might consider taking a look at the other 3 or 4
Absolutely.
things the community came up with and just see if there's anything that has stood the test of time there long enough to be palatable.
And lastly, we have updating the climate action plan and also continue to implement the priority action items of the current climate action plan. We had some good news recently that there is grant opportunity through the county, and we would get some technical support to complete this update in the near term at a substantial savings to the city. So we're planning on moving forward with that opportunity. And I wanted to let you know that to accomplish all of this, we also have been authorized for 2 more limited term positions. And so the recruitment just closed Friday on those. So we're in the hiring process now for 2 more positions. One of them is an associate planner, and one of them would be a management analyst.
That's great. When you say limited term, what does that mean?
2 years,
2 years?
yes.
Have you found that you've been able to get a fair number of applications in light of the limited term nature of the positions?
Yes, yes,
Great.
we have.
Fantastic.
And we have Rob Smith went to the city of Oakland, and we have a new planner that started today, Helen Gannon, so that's great. And Tina Gibbs is retired, and we have a temp filling her position while we study whether or not that will be filled at an admin clerk level, or if we need another technician to assist with some of the building permit workload. That's substantial there. So that gets to, these are executive priorities. These are things that the city staff has identified weren't necessarily council work plan items. And so permit processing improvements, it's building permit processing improvements. The process needs attention, and there's a lot of improvements that can be made. And I think part of that is making sure that the workload is appropriate, and that we, that's part of the study, and whether or not we need another technician at the front counter.
I hate to go back to an earlier number 13.
Yes.
Just to open a question I have. So let's say, for example, that we're able to, that the city passes a specific, so is that, does the city council approve a specific plan? How does that work actually? What's the approving body?
The planning commission would make a recommendation, and city council approves.
Okay, and so then once there's a specific plan approved and on the books, to what extent does that tie the hands of the developer?
So that is essentially it will be the zoning general plan, for that site, and so that's what
No kidding, okay.
happened there. I wouldn't say it ties the hand. I mean, a developer always has an opportunity to apply for amendments.
Right. Well, and so, because that specific property, if you want to build residential on it, you have to go for a popular...
Go to the people.
For a vote of
right.
people, and that's because of the way it's zoned? Or is that as...
It is a part of the zoning, and it was because of a ballot measure some years ago.
And so can that is that on the table then on the specific plan, or does the specific plan not have the ability to take away that vote requirement for residential?
My understanding is that it does not have the ability to take away the vote requirement.
So that's-
So I would say if there is a plan that comes out of this process that has residential, they'd probably need another option, option B. If
Say it
that
again?
one, it doesn't pass, yeah. Because you would still need the vote of the people
Got it, okay.
to build residential.
Is all development required to be visitor serving on the quarry?
That is a preference, because it's in the coastal zone. Yeah. But not, I don't think there could be a balance. I don't think every single use there has to be visitor serving.
Thanks.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
It was regarding, I heard there was an RFP out for a bike and head plan up in Namar Boulevard.
Mm-hmm.
Are you aware of that RFP? I think it closed last week.
Yeah.
Are you aware of the status of it? Are they going to be reviewing it in the next couple weeks?
Yes, so that's a public works project. So it's a bike and pedestrian master plan for the entire community.
Okay.
And I actually believe that they may have selected a consultant, and it may be coming up or was just on a city council agenda to approve that contract. So it's just now getting started. And then the sign ordinance is a lower priority. It's old. There's been case law. There's always sign case law, but we need to update that. And then with the first item, I went over the general plan update, anticipated schedule. So that is the end. And in my staff report, I did attach the list of current projects just because I wanted you all to be aware of them. I'm not going to go over them because they're probably all going to be in front of you at some point. But I did want to show you something, and if any public is viewing this, they can see this too, obviously. So we used to post that list in PDF format online for people to view, and we were trying to make it more user-friendly. And so what we did is you go to the planning page, if the website's working, and then scroll down to active planning application list. And so instead of a PDF, now you have a map. So folks can, I think, it's easier for people who want to see what's going on around them. They can zoom in. And for example, this was the Bella Vista single-family home. Click on that link, and it takes you to a page that gives you some more information. You have a link to the planner so that you can just easily contact them. And very soon, hopefully, I'd like to have actually the submittal plans up here so that it's easy for folks. They don't have to come into the counter, and folks can see what's going on in the community.
That's great. That's really cool.
So that's about it.
That's great. I agree. Oh, any,
Well, I actually thank you for the report, and I do sometimes marvel at the amount you all do with the resources you have, so kudos on all the things you do to keep things on track.
yeah, truly. And sorry to see Tina leaving Gibbs.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was great.
Yeah, she was. I
So.
think she's having a really good time. She moved to Arizona. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's good.
Great.
Well, can you just show me one more time? So you did planning, and then what?
Yeah, so if I just go back to the homepage, so go to departments and then planning. Don't click on any of those drop downs, just click on the main planning link there. And then scroll down to active planning application list. And that's where this comes up.
Wow. Great, thank you
I
very
had a
much.
high school intern who I need to give all the credit to, and she figured this out in like half a day. Help us out for a few weeks in the summer.
I'm familiar with that dynamic. Congratulations, that's great.
Thanks.
Commissioner Steggy.
You know, when I look at the website, it just seems like the majority of the meat is 3 or 4 clicks down. Is there any way to get planning-related material higher up on the homepage? I
Yeah.
mean, so much of that page is wasted space. You know, you've got 3 links and 6 links and a giant photo, and it seems very 1998 when I look at that.
Does, yeah. I'm aware of that, and I'd like to clean that up, but.
And
we
just
need
kind
to
of
get it
reduce the
in.
load on the counter staff.
Yeah.
Yeah, because all the time people say, hey, what's happening with that? Just go click here, and I just send them a link or whatever, but. Is there any way to fund the coastal trail with CAP funding,
I'm not familiar with CAP funding.
coastal action plan? Sorry, climate action plan.
Oh, Climate Action Plan
Yeah,
funding?
what is that, CPA? CAP?
Yeah, CAP.
Got it.
So what sort of Climate Action Plan funding?
Well, like you mentioned the PED bicycle stuff that's being funded by CAP, and I mean, it would be hard to argue that the coastal trail was not PED bicycle stuff.
Yeah, so that is not funded by Climate Action Plan funding. It's the update to the Climate Action Plan that's being.
Got it, thank you. Is there, do we have an idea when build-out for the coastal trail might take place?
No.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
That was great. Well, on to communications. So commission communications, anyone? Commissioner Steggy.
Do we have any idea when recreational marijuana revenues might enter the city's coffers?
No, I don't have an estimate. The applications are still incomplete. So we're contacting them to see if there's anything we can do to answer any questions that they might have, and hopefully be able to get those to hearing very soon.
Separately, are shipping container homes compatible with our current ADU legislation?
There's nothing in the legislation and from a planning perspective that would prohibit them. They would just need to meet building code.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't see any more lights. Staff communications.
I have none.
All right, we've come to that moment. Commissioner Neblin,
I'll move to adjourn.
Commissioner Gordon.
Second.
We had a motion, second, please vote. That passes unanimously. Thus concludes the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.